White House release published Tuesday, July 29, 2025. What they are saying? Landmark US-EU trade deal is another big win for Americans. President Donald J. Trump's new trade deal with the European Union is being called a major victory for the United States. Trade experts, business leaders, and policymakers say the agreement expands market access, cuts non-tariff barriers, and supports job growth in key sectors like agriculture, aviation, and energy. CNN's Jeff Zeleny calls this the biggest trade deal of President Trump's efforts to reshape global trade. The Wall Street Journal's Jerry Baker describes it as a remarkable success, noting strong economic growth and a booming stock market. Commentator Ian Bremmer says it is the most significant US-EU negotiation so far and a big win for America. Former Commerce Secretary Carlos Gutierrez and Bloomberg's Terry Haynes both praised the deal as a major achievement. Newsweek's Josh Hammer calls it one of the greatest trade deals in modern history. KPMG's Diane Swank says it is a win for the administration. USA Today's Nicole Russell highlights benefits for American workers. Airlines for America thanks both US and EU leaders for agreeing to zero tariffs on aircraft and parts, saying this will grow jobs and strengthen economic security. The American Farm Bureau Federation says the deal helps connect U.S. farmers to global markets and supports American agriculture. The American Iron and Steel Institute welcomes the agreement and President Trump's commitment to a strong steel industry. The American Petroleum Institute says the deal will help keep America as Europe's leading energy supplier. The Business Software Alliance welcomes commitments to no customs duties on digital trade and cooperation on technology standards. The Corn Refiners Association is pleased with progress on trade issues important to American agriculture. Delta Airlines says the agreement preserves a zero-tariff environment on aircraft, supporting jobs and innovation. The Distilled Spirits Council appreciates President Trump's leadership. The General Aviation Manufacturers Association commends both sides for supporting aerospace growth and stability. Growth Energy says the deal shows a commitment to American energy and will benefit rural communities and the ethanol industry. Industry leaders are also praising the new US-EU trade deal. Jason Oxman of the Information Technology Industry Council says the agreement will help open markets and restore business stability. Ed Boland of the National Business Aviation Association welcomes the return to zero tariffs on aircraft and parts, calling it a boost for innovation and U.S. aerospace leadership. Kent Bacchus from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association supports efforts to remove trade barriers for U.S. beef in Europe. Mike Seifert of the National Grain and Feed Association calls the deal a meaningful step for American agriculture. Frank Hugelmeyer of the National Marine Manufacturers Association says the agreement protects U.S. boats and engines from extra tariffs, supporting billions in exports. Jeff Cooper from the Renewable Fuels Association is encouraged by the inclusion of U.S. ethanol in the deal and looks forward to growing renewable fuel trade with Europe. Chris Moore of the Software and Information Industry Association welcomes the framework and hopes for continued talks on digital regulations. Philip Bell from the Steel Manufacturers Association praises the deal for opening markets and maintaining national security tariffs on steel. Ryan LeGrand of the U.S. Grains Council says the deal will build on strong grain trade with Europe. Dan Hallstrom from the U.S. Meat Export Federation thanks the administration for prioritizing agricultural access and urges further action to address barriers to U.S. red meat exports. Thanks for listening. The full source material for this summary is in the description below.